Tonight, an exclusive 5 on Your Side investigation takes you inside a hidden world of abuse, sexual assault, and neglect.
It's an investigation that's already prompting calls for reform. 5 on Your Side Chief Investigator Ron Regan joins us tonight with how it happens and a state agency that often fails to act.
Well, our investigation found how those with criminal backgrounds are being given access to people with disabilities. Plus, many who provide services routinely ignore health and safety regulations. Listen to what happened to Sherry.
I'd get that out of there, aren't you?
Sherry's disability began at birth. She grew up here at home, protected and cared for. But 40 years later, her mother's now ailing heart was broken again.
Oh my God, no, this can't be what this is going to.
Instead of being bused to a daycare, Sherry was driven to this deserted lot. Documents we obtained from the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities describe what happened next.
And his semen was on her coat and everything.
Darrell Scott Burton was the driver. He was charged with rape.
She had told me that he had put something in her mouth, had climbed up on her wheelchair. And I knew then there was mud all over her wheelchair. And it was all there, you know, you knew what she was talking about.
But we found Burton never spent a day in prison. Rape was reduced to patient endangerment.
I don't understand how the state can let this slide by under their fingers and let these companies continue providing services for the disabled and get by with it.
Burton worked here, Caring Hands of Stark County, where state records show a serious pattern of non-compliance for 2 full years, including failure to check criminal backgrounds. So we did, and quickly found Burton's 1993 theft conviction in Ohio, and another one, this time a criminal history in Minnesota, including drugs, assault, and fleeing police. Todd Brown was Caring Hands president.
I didn't ever check it. I knew of Scott, but I never checked. I hired people to do it, and they didn't double check like they were supposed to.
Did you think he was a good hire?
I didn't. He was a bus driver. I mean, to be a bus driver, I don't know anything about who we hired at the time.
But it took Sherry's sexual assault to finally shut it down.
They're putting our handicapped people in a situation where they can really be hurt, just like Sherry.
And our investigation found some providers routinely place the disabled at risk. We reviewed 165 inspection reports in Cuyahoga County alone over the last 5 years. We found 874 serious compliance violations, including lack of first aid and CPR training, failure to check abuser registries, and no criminal background checks. Checks that later found aggravated murder, drug trafficking, and burglary charges. Even so, providers are rarely put out of business.
It's really hard to close a place down.
We shared our findings with Ohio's leading advocacy group for the disabled.
And I think what you're uncovering is that it's not actually working.
I will continue reliving it till I go to my grave, I'm sure.
And Sherry's abuse is not an isolated case. In 2012, we found over 1,000 cases of abuse and neglect. And Ohio's Department of Developmental Disabilities declined our request for an on-camera interview.
And Ron, this is a 6-month investigation that turned up information that families never knew even existed?
Well, that's exactly right. In this case, Sherry's mom had no idea until her daughter was assaulted that criminal background checks were not done.
We begin with the investigation, secret tape recordings, and what Pilot Flying J management knew. 5 on Your Side Chief Investigator Ron Regan joins us with how this case unfolded.
Well, Jimmy Haslam has not been charged with any crime and has consistently denied wrongdoing. But this is a sworn statement from a lead FBI agent on the case. It's 120 pages long, and it convinced a federal judge there's probable cause to suspect criminal activity by some pilot employees. It also reveals a lot about how the FBI investigation first began last April 15th. In Knoxville, it was a picture-perfect day at Pilot Flying J headquarters of Monday morning at the nation's largest truck stop operator. But just 2 miles away at FBI headquarters, agents were suiting up for a 4.5-minute ride in total secrecy.
Even the chief of police of the city of Knoxville did not know where they were going.
Dennis Francis is a Knoxville criminal defense attorney with connections.
Turn off your radios, turn off your cell phones, turn off your in-car stuff. Meet us at a rally point, we're going to go, and they sat there and worked the perimeter.
Once inside, FBI agents knew exactly where they were going. They headed straight to the top floor, including the front office of Pilot CEO Jimmy Haslam.
But I suspicion that these search warrants may not be the beginning of this investigation. These search warrants may be the end of the government's investigation.
In fact, it all began 2 full years before with a tip. An extensive review of FBI search warrants and sworn statements reveal how the criminal probe into Haslam and his company unfolded. May 4th, 2011, the tipster told the FBI about alleged fraudulent activity by certain pilot employees. Just weeks later, in June, the FBI's tipster began secretly recording someone inside the company, a regional sales director who knew even more. In the following months, that inside source identified key players inside Pilot headquarters in Knoxville, including the company's vice president, plus its national sales director, and claimed both were fraudulently withholding fuel rebates from truckers.
I have no idea. This is very new to me, okay?
The day after the raid,
here again, it was just 24 hours that they came in, and so it's like getting knocked down. You got to get back up, and then you got to right yourself.
Jimmy Haslam spoke out for the first time.
Well, you know, as you guys know, we're on a tight ship here, and so we immediately have begun our internal investigation.
But the ship was in danger. By the fall of 2012, the FBI had secured a third source, this time a pilot sales manager who had already left the company, partly, she said, because of what she claimed she saw. On October 2nd, FBI agents made an offer she couldn't refuse.
Castigar, they come in, they take a statement from you. You swear that the stuff in there is true. They say, we're not going to use this against you unless and until you take the witness stand and you testify differently.
And it worked.
Obviously, she cooperated to the extent of giving them an affidavit that they use, giving them information that they used to get a federal judge to sign off on a search warrant. Multiple search warrants, as a matter of fact.
According to FBI records, she described even more pilot employees at headquarters allegedly taking part in the fraud. Just 2 days later, October 4th, 2012, the FBI moved into high gear. For the first time, agents approached that inside source, the regional sales director they've been secretly recording by now for more than a full year. He agreed to work undercover inside Pilot itself. And for the next 6 months, dinners, training sessions, even meetings inside Pilot headquarters were all caught on tape, detailing the alleged fraud. The FBI had hit the jackpot and hit a nerve with Jimmy Haslam.
So to have this type of incident happen here at Pilot Flying J is tough. It's really tough. It's rocked us back. I won't tell you any differently.
It was now 4 days after the raid.
Somebody asked me today if I was going to step down as president, and I thought to myself, well, why would I do that? Candidly, I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, through his attorney, Jimmy Haslam declined to be interviewed for this report. I'll be back with more on what the FBI's inside source claims Haslam knew and when he knew it. I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.
Hundreds of suspected rapists remain free tonight while their victims remain locked in a prison of terror. An exclusive 5 on Your Side investigation uncovers why key evidence that could put them behind bars is instead sitting on shelves. On Your Side Chief Investigator Ron Regan joins us with how this could happen. Ron.
Well, Chris, you're about to meet a very brave and courageous young woman who wants to tell her story. But first, we found evidence involving more than 2,000 women across Ohio whose attackers remain on the street tonight. That's because key evidence that could convict them remains inside a box like this.
It's unfair and it's unjust, and it made me lose a lot of faith in the justice system.
Amanda Sloan went from a teenage girl honored for working with disabled children.
They still would want to give you a hug and just be happy to be there and be on that horse, and it put things in perspective.
To something she never dreamed would happen to her.
I was a virgin. I was never interested in dating because I was so involved with everything else.
Once recognized with this citation from Ohio's legislature for making the world a better place, Amanda's world was shattered.
He took me into the field, made me take my clothes off, lay on the ground, covered my face, and he raped me.
The man who raped Amanda has never been found.
I had nightmares for a couple months. There were nights that I would not fall asleep until the sun came up.
But what's inside a box like this could identify him.
What happened to your rape kit?
I have no idea. As far as I know, it's still sitting in a box in the police department somewhere.
Rape kits contain DNA evidence. It's obtained from victims in the hours after an assault, and it can instantly identify suspects whose DNA is already on file. Our 5 on Your Side investigation obtained a computer database of rape kits across Ohio and gained rare access to Ohio's crime lab. We found more than 2,000 rape kits across Ohio went untested for years.
It's not fair to them to never have closure and not have the person that did that to them be punished, or at least get them off the streets so they can't continue to do it to other people.
They'd been sitting in police department evidence rooms because there was often no funding for testing. Now that's changing. Under a program launched by Ohio's Attorney General, those kits have now been turned over to forensic scientists here at the state crime lab for testing. They include nearly 1,000 untested rape kits from Cleveland, 207 from Akron, 58 from Lorain, and 48 more from Lakewood. Attorney General Mike DeWine believes rapists will be identified.
I can almost guarantee you that we're going to solve some crimes and find out some things that's very, very valuable to protect the public.
But it's been nearly a year.
Nothing ever works as fast as I want it to work.
And we found only 479, roughly 25%, have been fully tested. Why?
What I didn't want to do is take these back rape kits, dump them into our system without any new people, and create a bigger backlog for a rape that had committed 5 days ago, and when we were very actively seeking to find out who that person was.
Kara Porter is a rape crisis counselor. Last year, 163 women were raped in Cleveland, 94 in Akron. She believes testing is vital.
There could be instances where there is someone committing serial assaults that would be found out in that case.
Good boy.
Meanwhile, Amanda Sloan says she'll continue to speak out for others.
I don't like the fact that people always feel sorry for me and that, they have to be careful around me, or that, I'm always going to be fragile and always going to be a victim. And my grandma pounds this into my head every day. I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor.
And Amanda promises she'll continue to speak out for other rape survivors. Now, of those 479 rape kits that have been tested, 28 have identified possible rapists, and 22 of those are right here in Cleveland. Now, you can log on to newsnet5.com and get the complete list of all untested rape kits submitted by police departments across Ohio. Reporting live in Cleveland, I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.